So it looks like the next flagship entry in the Assassin's Creed franchise is the project currently called Hexe, which is due to come out eventually. And given what's been revealed so far, I've got a few ideas on how the game could be like when it's finally released. So welcome to Matt's Media Space. My name is Matt, this is my media space, and these are my ideas for Assassin's Creed Hexe. So what we know so far is that the game is going to take place during the Salem witch trials. Now, while we all know that it's all fiction, witches don't exist and magic doesn't exist, but what if we faked magic? So what I'm suggesting for a gameplay loop is to reintroduce a gadget crafting mechanic, much like the bomb crafting table in Assassin's Creed Revelations. In Revelations, you could put together different combinations of shells, gunpowders, and other ingredients to make a wide variety of different bombs, like smoke bombs and even frag grenades. I think bringing these back would be a great addition to the gameplay. Across the map, you could have different spots where you can craft these gadgets, and you can use them against enemies to create the illusion of witchcraft and magic. What I'm suggesting is to make this the main gameplay loop of the game over melee combat and hidden blade use. Now, the hidden blade and melee would still be part of the game, but it will be as part of the gadget mechanic strategy. So what this means is that melee combat will essentially be eliminated and will be replaced by this new gadget mechanic through skills and tactics that will slowly be unveiled throughout the game. So the idea behind it isn't just to bring about death, but also to instill fear that magic and witchcraft might actually exist. And because the Hidden Blade is such an iconic part of the Assassin's Creed franchise, the one way I think that it can be implicated is by making the Hidden Blade itself a bit more low profile and a bit more concealable, so that when they are used to slice up an enemy, it can be made to look like the Sectum Sempra spell from Harry Potter. So when used this way, it can be used to look like you're slicing the enemy up with an invisible blade. Now, the last thing that I want to bring up for Assassin's Creed Hexe is a return of the recruit system that was originally introduced in Brotherhood and then continued in Revelations and then finally in AC3. However, instead of them being recruits, they're just your fellow assassins who use different tactics and gadgets behind the scenes to make it look like that you're casting the spells. So let's just say that you're surrounded by multiple enemies and you're kind of cornered. You can just simply click a Q button and have your character, raise her arms towards the enemy to make it look like she's casting a spell. And then your assassin friends can throw in, say, like a poison gas bomb or a berserker gas bomb so that it can affect the enemies and make it look like you're the one who's making it do it when it's really just your friends. And in case you're wondering how your character isn't affected by this poison or berserk gas, it can introduce a mini game earlier on in the story that will allow you to build up immunities to these ailments that would affect the enemy. Now, to finally address another iconic part of the Assassin's Creed franchise, which would be free running. Now, if you played Assassin's Creed 3, you'll know that Massachusetts isn't exactly an ideal place for free running. There's not a lot of tall buildings and, the climate can be a little stale. However, we could bring back a second part of AC3 free running that can be very ideal for Assassin's Creed Hexe, which would be the use of trees. In Hexe, you can take advantage of thick brushes of forest to move undercover and unseen. It's kind of like wind blowing through the branches, and then you strike unwary enemies. So now that I've gone through a basic gameplay loop of Hexe, let's move on to the game's story. So starting with the Assassins, I believe that the leaked story is about a girl who is looking to avenge the execution of her mother, who was just recently accused of witchcraft. But because avenging family has been done a lot, especially for AC games, my idea for the story is going to be a bit basic, but it is a lot more different for an AC game, so I'm gonna go for it. Now for my idea of the story, it's going to be the main protagonist that ends up being executed. However, before this actually happens, some witchy assassins will come in to rescue her and make it look like she vanished without a trace. From there, the protagonist will be officially recruited and brought into what is called the Assassin Coven. Now, this Assassin Coven recruit women who have been previously arrested and accused of witchcraft, and like our protagonist, make them disappear without a trace as if this person had used some sort of magic power to do so. Now, if we're looking for who could head the Assassin Coven, I think a great option would be Bridget Bishop, who was executed in 1692 under suspicion of witchcraft. Now here we'll have to fudge the history a little bit, because she was 60 years old at the time of her execution. Now, I'm not saying that we make her super young, but definitely young enough for her to start the Assassins Coven, invent their ways, and recruit other assassins to her cause. Now, if we're looking at the rest of the assassins' names, we can literally just make them up. Dozens of women at that time were executed for witchcraft, so we can definitely be a little bit more creative here. Now that we got the assassins out of the way, let's move on to the Templar Order. Now, I don't think we have to worry too much about religious adherence with the Templar Order because it's changed a lot throughout time. When it was Now, I don't think we have to worry too much about religious adherence with the Templar Order because it has changed over time. With the Order of the Ancients, it was sticking to whatever polytheistic beliefs that the ancient Egyptians or the ancient Greeks had. When we moved on to Valhalla, it was in Christianity, and then by Assassin's Creed 1, they had moved on to Catholicism, and then by 2, in 15th century Italy, it had emerged to Roman Catholicism. Now, by the time of the Salem witch trials, it was predominantly overseen by the Puritans of colonial Massachusetts. And if we're looking for a Grand Master of the Templars, or somebody, calling the shots, we could look at the Grand Magistrate of the time, which was William Stoughton. Now, Grand Magistrate William Stoughton was also seen as the Lieutenant Governor of the time, and was in charge right around where Bridget Bishop was executed. So it fits perfectly within the timelines of what I'm proposing to happen in Assassin's Creed Hexe. Now, as for how the rest of the story will go, I don't really know, but I feel I did make a pretty good start. So there you have it, my ideas for Assassin's Creed Hexe. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, make sure to click subscribe and click like on the video. And while you're at it, let me know in the comments what you think Ubisoft should do for Assassin's Creed Hexe. This has been Matt from Matt's Media Space, and I'll see you next time.